welcome to Afghan News. The United States Senate voted on Wednesday to require President Barack Obama to devise a plan for expediting the pull-out of U.S. troops from Afghanistan, signaling growing impatience in Congress. Obama in June called for about a third of U.S. forces, or 33,000 troops, to leave Afghanistan by the end of next summer. The remaining 66,000 U.S. troops are to be slowly withdrawn until a final transition to Afghan security control in 2014. The Democratic-controlled Senate's vote for accelerating the drawdown came on an announcement on an amendment to an annual defense bill, but the chances of the requirement becoming law are slim. A similar demand for an accelerated transition of military operations from U.S. to Afghan authorities was narrowly defeated in the Republican-controlled House of Representatives in May. The sponsor of the version that passed the Senate on Wednesday, Democrat Jeff Merkley, said the chamber's vote was above all a message to the Democratic president that it was time to end the U.S. combat role in Afghanistan. Pakistan resumed some cooperation with United States-led forces in Afghanistan following NATO strikes that killed 24 Pakistani soldiers by working with the coalition to prevent another cross-border incident from escalating, a spokesman said on Wednesday. The weekend airstrikes have severely strained the already troubled relationship between Pakistan and the United States, jeopardizing Washington's hopes of enlisting Islamabad's support in winding down the Afghan war. Pakistan is still outraged by the soldiers' deaths and has retaliated by closing its Afghan border crossings to NATO supplies, demanding the United States vacate an air base used by American drones and boycotting an international conference aimed at stabilizing Afghanistan. But NATO said Islamabad communicated with the alliance to prevent an exchange of fire over the border later Tuesday from turning into another international incident. German Brigadier General Carsten Jacobsen, a NATO spokesman in Kabul, expressed hope that Pakistan's cooperation in resolving the incident in eastern Afghanistan's Paktia province signaled the two sides could recover from the recent tragedy. Bulgaria announced Wednesday it would withdraw 3/4 of its 610-member contingent in the International Security Assistance Force in Afghanistan by the end of 2014. According to a strategy adopted by the government, Bulgaria will pull out its medical team from the city of Herat by the end of 2012, and the country's contingent based in Kabul and Kandahar would return home at the beginning of 2013 and by the end of 2014, respectively. But the country would continue to help train the Afghan security forces after 2014, the government said. Bulgaria, which joined the North Atlantic Treaty Organization in 2004, has been participating in the NATO-led ISAF mission since 2002. A bomb exploded near the office of the regional government official in the often restive northwestern Pakistani city of Peshawar early on Thursday, police officials said, but there were no immediate reports of casualties. Collapsed after the blast, which was heard throughout Peshawar, the last major city on the route to Afghanistan. Taliban militants have often launched suicide attacks in and around Peshawar in their campaign to topple the Pakistani government for its support of the United States-led war against militancy. The army has launched a series of offensives against the Pakistani Taliban, but has failed to subdue the group, which is close to Al-Qaeda and is blamed for many of the suicide bombings across Pakistan, an unstable nuclear-armed U.S. ally. Hillary Clinton has begun landmark talks with members of Myanmar's government on the first high-level visit by a U.S. official in half a century. After first meeting Wona Maung Luin, the foreign minister, on Thursday in the remote capital of Naypyidaw, the U.S. Secretary of State headed to the presidential palace to begin a closed-door meeting with Thein Sein, a former general who is now the president. Speaking in South Korea on Wednesday before her departure, Clinton said she was hopeful that flickers of progress in Myanmar will be ignited into a movement for change. U.S. officials have said Clinton will raise concerns about suspected military links with North Korea during her talks. Clinton will travel to the former capital later on Thursday, where she will meet opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi, the head of the National League for Democracy and a Nobel laureate who has spent much of the last 2 decades in prison. In that Britain has ordered the immediate closure of Iran's embassy in London and closed its own embassy in Tehran after it was stormed by protesters. British Foreign Minister William Hague told Parliament on Wednesday that the Iranian chargé d'affaires in London is being informed now that UK requires the immediate closure of the Iranian embassy in London and that all Iranian diplomatic staff must leave the United Kingdom within the next 48 hours. Hague also announced that Iranian ambassadors had been summoned in countries across Europe to receive strong protests over the storming of the embassy. Iran's foreign ministry, meanwhile, said shortly after Hague's announcement that the move to close the embassy was hasty and that Iran would be taking further appropriate action, according to state television reports. Britain has voiced outrage over the ransacking of its diplomatic premises in Tehran on Tuesday by hardline students in Basij, armed men in revenge for new British and Western sanctions over Iran's nuclear program. That's all for now. Stay with the news in 30 minutes.